Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we are diving into the really powerful ideas from Ryan Holiday's book, The Obstacle is the Way. At its heart, it's all about this ancient philosophy for turning your biggest problems into your greatest strengths. So, let's just start with a really big question, one that kind of flips the script on what a problem even is. We all have things that seem to be blocking our path, right? But what if those blockers, those very obstacles, aren't the problem at all? What if they're actually the solution?
This single thought, written by a Roman emperor almost 2,000 years ago, it really holds the secret. In Marcus Aurelius, he wasn't just some philosopher in an ivory tower. He was an emperor dealing with constant war, plague, and betrayal. He wrote this for himself as a real-world formula for thriving not just in spite of life's challenges, but because of them.
There's this old story that just nails the concept perfectly. A king sees his people have gotten kind of soft, so he comes up with a test. He rolls a giant boulder onto the main road and just watches. And person after person comes along, complains about it, curses their bad luck, and then just turns around and goes home. But then one guy shows up and sees it differently. He doesn't complain, he just gets to work. He strains, he pushes. When that doesn't work, he finds a big branch, makes a lever, and with one final push, he moves the rock. And what does he find? A hidden opportunity. And that note from the king, well, it reveals the big idea behind this whole philosophy. The obstacles we face aren't just in our way, they are the way. The very thing that looks like it's holding you back is actually carving out the path forward. So how do we actually do this? Well, it all breaks down into three core disciplines: perception, action, and will. We're going to walk through each one and then see how they all snap together to create a totally new way of looking at life. Let's get into the first one. So discipline one is all about what's going on up here in your mind. It's about how you choose to see things. And honestly, this is the foundation for everything else. Perception isn't just seeing what's in front of you. It's the story you tell yourself about what you're seeing. And that story can either make you weak, fill you with fear and emotion, or with a little practice, it can become your greatest strength. Just think about John D. Rockefeller. He's just getting started in his career when a huge financial crisis hits. Everybody else is panicking, losing everything, but not him. He kept his cool and chose to see the chaos as a classroom, a baptism by fire and how the market really works. And that mindset, it defined his whole career. While everyone else was running away from disaster, Rockefeller ran towards it. He used it to learn, to spot the weaknesses in the system that no one else could see. He literally trained himself to find the opportunity in the chaos. The legendary samurai swordsman Miyamoto Musashi talked about this. He said we have two ways of seeing: the emotional perceiving eye and the objective observing eye. The perceiving eye sees drama, fear, insurmountable obstacles. But the observing eye, it just sees what is. Our job is to train that observing eye. Look, controlling your perception isn't passive. It's an active skill you have to practice. It means choosing to be objective when you're feeling emotional. It means actively looking for the good in a bad situation. And maybe most important of all, it means focusing your energy only on the things you can actually control. Okay, so you've got your perception sorted. Awesome. But seeing clearly is pretty useless if you don't do anything about it. That brings us to the second discipline, action. It's all about what we do. The story of the great Athenian orator Demosthenes is just wild. This guy was born sickly, he had a speech impediment, he got cheated out of his inheritance, a total mess. But instead of giving up, he took this relentless creative action. He literally built himself into the powerful person he wanted to become, step by painful step. And his life was the ultimate proof of his philosophy. It doesn't matter what cards you're dealt. It matters what you do about it. For him, the answer was always more action.
It's the same with someone like Amelia Earhart. She knew she just needed a foot in the door, anywhere, anyhow. So she took this imperfect, you could even say insulting offer. Why? Because she knew that getting started, just getting into motion, is what creates momentum. She didn't wait for the perfect shot. She took the one she had and made it count.
And right action requires just incredible persistence. I mean, think about Thomas Edison testing 6,000 different materials for his light bulb. He just knew one of them had to work. His genius wasn't some magic spark. It was his sheer willingness to keep going, to try and fail and try again. But what happens when your perception is clear, your actions are right, and you still fail, when things are just totally out of your hands? Well, that's when you have to rely on the final discipline, your will.
If you look at the life of Abraham Lincoln, it was basically one trial after another that forged this unbreakable will. He dealt with poverty, loss, constant political failure, and debilitating depression. But all those personal struggles are exactly what prepared him for the ultimate test, leading a country through the Civil War. His private pain gave him his public strength. His own suffering gave him this deep, bone-deep perspective. He knew from personal experience that even the absolute worst times are temporary. And that knowledge allowed him to lead with a kind of calm strength that nobody else had.
This all leads to the ultimate expression of will, a concept that Stoics called amor fati. It literally means a love of fate. And this isn't about just putting up with what happens. It's about actively loving it. It's treating everything that happens, the good, the bad, the ugly, as the necessary material you need to build your life.
When Edison's entire factory campus, his life's work, burned to the ground, his reaction was incredible. He wasn't just accepting it, he was almost excited by it. He saw it as a chance to start over fresh, to clear out all the old mistakes and build something even better. Now that is finding the good in a disaster.
Okay, so how do we take these three amazing disciplines, perception, action, and will, and weave them into a new philosophy for living? So here's the process. It's this simple. 1, see things clearly for what they actually are, not what your emotions are screaming at you. 2, act correctly. Pour your energy into the parts you can control with creativity and persistence. And 3, endure what you must. Build up that inner will to not just handle what you can't change, but to embrace it. Perception, action, will. That's it. That's the formula. Remember, what's blocking your path is the path. The world will never stop testing you. That's a guarantee. The only real question left is, what are you going to do with what stands in your way?